trunks, they ever ready. Assault and battery, if you scared, you never ready.
Okay, this video is going to be about Monday Night Raw, and just coming off 9 days since I went to Buffalo, New York for Monday Night Raw. I should have made this video then, but really, I don't know. Just making it today, and the whole thing comes together because I sat through from 7:30 until, well, the show ended like past 11:30, so you're looking at over 4 hours of WWE, and it was just way too much, just for, not only for me, because you look around, like at certain parts, you look at from 10, literally people from 10 o'clock on to, I guess, 11:30, whenever it finished, they were leaving one by one, you know, groups and bunches. I was one of those people. I couldn't, it just got to the point where I was sitting there, and I found myself just like the show started off fine, you know, you had Vince McMahon come out, and I was all jolly, you know, all into the show, you know, I'm on fifth row, you know, I'm just throwing up the click on the Titantron, and then just it dragged, and then it dragged some more, and then you had a backstage segment, and you had another backstage segment, and then you had a wasting Divas match, and then you had some filler matches, and it was like, I'm sitting there in between a fat dude and Jade, and I'm like this, and I'm like, what the hell, why am I here? It just became way too much, and it's not the first 3-hour Raw that I've been to. I went to WrestleMania, that 3-hour Raw, it was great, you know, it's because everything on that card, it really mattered, and WWE knew they should make it matter, because if not, that crowd's going to take over the show, and they're going to make a mockery of everything. Before that, I think I went to a Raw when they were in Toronto. Edge was a special guest, and to be quite honest, I was with Griff, I guess I don't even know his YouTube name, but he was telling me about that show, and nothing, absolutely nothing came to my mind except that opening segment where it was Triple H and Edge going back and forth, and then the Shield brought out Christian all beaten up, and that was it. That was all I remembered. So it just shows that I'd never forget my very first Monday Night Raw. The main event was Triple H and Mr. Kennedy versus the ECW roster, and Chavo Guerrero gave Kennedy the frog splash, and he won for ECW. But anything after that, there was very few and far in between, is what I remember. But this past Raw is just one of those things that I was sitting on the floor, I was having a good time for maybe 35 to 45 minutes, and after that, it was just like, I was looking at the ring, and I was looking at the Tron, but nothing was registering. I was just sitting there, and the crowd was the same way. I'm sure no one remembers the Raw, except maybe the main event, the whole angle that they did with Orton and the Authority. But it was just, I don't know. And it just seems like 3 hours is just becoming way too much, whether you're sitting and watching it on TV or you're there live. And I know there's people who go to Raw, they have the time of their life, you know, they love every second of it. When it comes to Monday Night Raw in general, it's not like when I do have a Monday off, I don't really, I just go on YouTube, and they have this new show, which I'm very thankful for, so I can at least keep up with what's going on. It's called Top 10 Countdown of WWE Monday Night Raw, whatever. And I watch it, and it's about a minute long, and they count down the 10 most important things that happened. From 10, whether it be an angle that they're kind of building to, whether it be Ryback kicking someone's ass, whether it be Cena, Orton, and all the main guys, they give their own little 10-second clip to. Hey, I'm caught up on Raw. They do the same thing for SmackDown, and I just watched the SmackDown thing, which I guess they did the whole Adam Rose and the Bunny thing. They started on SmackDown, so they did it on Raw, and that's another thing. If there's no point in watching SmackDown, because whatever happens on Friday will happen on Monday, so there's, you know, SmackDown's just a big waste of time, to be quite honest. And I remember there was a time where SmackDown, it was more of a must-see show than Raw was. But now you think about it, you have 3 hours of Raw, 2 hours of SmackDown, I guess main events and maybe an hour long. You have NXT, which is an hour long. That's 7 hours of programming right there. Plus maybe you want to watch something on the network, an hour program on the network, you got an 8-hour thing. It's a lot of wrestling to really take in, and then if you watch TNA, that's another 2 hours, so you're looking at 10 hours a week. But I don't even watch TNA. They literally put the whole show on literally like 5-minute, 6-minute clips on YouTube. You don't have to watch the Dust Brothers versus Los Matadores every week up until the pay-per-view, or the Usos versus the Wyatt family for 6 weeks straight. And you just watch that 10-second clip, you see who won, and you know they're going to have their blow-off at the pay-per-view or in a steel cage match on a random SmackDown. and that's how they blow everything off. But it just seems like for me, and I know I'm not alone on this. Wrestling's like a train. Well, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like just whatever. Wrestling, it's like a slow, steady stream, and then WrestleMania time, from pretty much the Royal Rumble to WrestleMania, you're in love. You're just like all into it 100%. And people think I'm like this all the time, because when you look behind me, it's like figures, DVDs, posters, belts, whatever you have. It's all wrestling. People think I'm all into it 24/7, and it's, it's somewhat of it is true. But for me, the biggest and best time to be into wrestling, the point where that WWE puts 110% of their commitment into making the product mean something, is between January and April. Once that comes, you're kind of it's like the hangover after WrestleMania. It just lasts up until SummerSlam. SummerSlam's their last chance to really grab you as a fan and make you care again, because after SummerSlam, if they don't, it's just a nosedive. You're gonna crash and burn so hard, because the pay-per-views after SummerSlam, you have Night of Champions, you might have a Battleground, you have Hell in a Cell, and Survivor Series, and just like, who cares really? And sure, they'll have a good match and a must-see match here and there, but for the most part, besides those two main programs that they have, everything else is just a waste of time, really. And then it's like you come full circle. You go back to January, you're all, oh man, wrestling good, wrestling this, wrestling that, and then it's just a cycle over and over and over again. That's just my opinion. Too much wrestling, or too much Raw, too much WWE in general, and just a whole lot of it, but none of it really means anything. But that's just me. So I'll see you guys in the next video.